Women never forget a man who does these 6 things. There are certain men who leave a mark, not by wealth, appearance, or words, but by the calm gravity of their character. These men are remembered not for what they possess, but for what they are. A woman never forgets such a man because he stands unshaken in a world of noise. His presence is rare, his essence unforgettable. Let's explore the 6 ways he becomes that kind of man. 1. He is grounded in silence, not ego. He does not speak to prove his worth. His calm proves it for him. When others shout to be seen, he remains still. His silence is not weakness, it's power under control. A woman feels safe in the presence of such composure. She remembers how his peace steadied her storms. He doesn't try to dominate her thoughts. His restraint earns her respect. He listens without the urge to interrupt. He observes without the desire to control. In that stillness she feels valued, because silence, when born of strength, speaks louder than words. 2. He honors boundaries. His and hers a man who knows his limits, commands quiet authority. He does not chase what isn't his, nor force what isn't meant. He respects space, because he understands that love without respect is possession. He walks away when his values are crossed, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. That act, though silent, echoes in her memory. She remembers him as the man who didn't need to plead or prove. He taught her something rare, that dignity is the highest form of attraction. 3. He leads with integrity, not manipulation. He doesn't need to play games to gain affection. His honesty may be uncomfortable, but it is pure. In a world that rewards masks, he chooses the courage of authenticity. He keeps his word, not for approval, but because his word defines him. A woman remembers the man whose actions matched his promises. Even after time fades affection, respect for his integrity remains. 4. He chooses discipline over desire. He is not a slave to impulses. He knows that pleasure without purpose weakens the soul. He guards his focus, his time, and his body. The world tempts him to chase, to indulge, but he moves with purpose. He understands that mastery begins within. His restraint is not repression, it's refinement. She remembers how he carried himself, not because he sought her attention, but because he sought self-control. Such a man becomes unforgettable, for he stands apart in a world consumed by indulgence. 5. He provides emotional safety without losing himself. He does not fix her pain. He holds space for it. He doesn't promise endless happiness. He offers stability. He doesn't absorb her chaos. He remains the calm eye in the storm. A woman never forgets the man who gave her peace without demanding submission. His presence was both fortress and freedom. He made her feel understood, not owned. And when he left, the absence of that calm became unforgettable. 6. He lives by principles, not situations. His values are not negotiable. Whether in love or loss, he remains the same. He does not become kind because he is loved, nor cruel because he is hurt. He acts with honor even when unseen. A woman remembers this man because consistency is rare. She may outgrow love, but she will never outgrow respect for the man who never betrayed his principles. Silence over ego. Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of understanding. The one who masters silence does not need to prove what he already knows. The mind ruled by ego constantly seeks validation, through arguments, opinions, or the hunger to be seen. Yet, the spirit governed by wisdom knows that truth never demands noise. It stands unshaken in its own presence. In a world addicted to attention, silence becomes rebellion. When others rush to speak, to defend, to display knowledge, the wise remain composed. They do not fear being misunderstood because they do not depend on the understanding of others to define their peace. Ego fears silence because silence exposes how fragile it is. Without applause, without reaction, the ego withers. But the calm soul thrives in stillness, because stillness is its natural state. Silence is a form of strength that words can never match. The loudest man in the room is often the weakest. He needs sound to fill his emptiness. But silence, true silence, comes from fullness, from control, from the deep knowing that one's value does not require recognition. When the storm rages, the sea beneath remains untouched. So it is with a disciplined mind. It watches emotion pass like clouds across the sky, speaking only when speech is necessary. Ego is always restless, silence is always composed. Ego needs victory, silence seeks understanding. Ego wants to be right, silence wants to be at peace. The difference between the two defines the quality of one's existence. Those who live by ego drown in reaction. They respond to every insult, defend every opinion, fight every shadow. But those who dwell in silence rise above reaction. They choose where to invest energy, and they understand that not every battle deserves attention. To practice silence is not to be weak or passive. It is to hold one's power with intention. When one speaks less, each word gains weight. When one listens more, truth reveals itself. The Stoics understood that mastery of the tongue is mastery of the mind. The one who controls speech controls emotion, for words often ignite fires that thought alone can extinguish. There is great dignity in restraint. The ability to remain calm in provocation shows mastery of self. When others raise their voices, silence becomes a mirror that reflects their lack of control. In that moment, the quiet one wins, not by force, but by poise. The absence of reaction is not emptiness, it is command. To live without ego is to understand that every opinion of you belongs to the one who gives it. Praise does not elevate you, and insult does not diminish you. Both are mere sounds carried by wind. The one who depends on neither praise nor validation stands free. Ego binds a person to the judgment of others. Silence cuts those chains. It teaches that peace cannot be found in approval, only in self-discipline. Every confrontation offers a choice, to speak from pride or to respond from clarity. The first seeks to win, the second seeks to understand. When you choose silence, you allow wisdom to lead emotion. You give time for reason to mature before reaction. In that pause lies the power that separates the impulsive from the wise. Even nature teaches this truth. The mountains do not speak, yet they command reverence. The sun rises without announcement, yet it sustains all life. Greatness does not need to declare itself, it simply is. The same applies to character. The quiet force of integrity carries more weight than the loud noise of ego. In relationships, silence becomes a bridge, not a wall. It allows space for understanding, for reflection, for truth to emerge without distortion. Ego demands to be heard, silence seeks to listen, and through listening, one learns the hearts of others, their fears, and their motives. This awareness brings harmony where argument brings division. To live in silence is to walk the path of serenity. It means understanding that not every thought deserves expression, not every emotion deserves release, and not every conflict deserves response. It is a discipline, a refusal to be controlled by impulses or provoked by noise. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence without disturbance. It does not seek attention, it commands it. And while ego fades with the need for validation, silence grows stronger with every moment it chooses peace over pride. The wise do not fear being unseen, because they know that true power is invisible. They do not need to be heard to have impact, their composure speaks for them. In silence there is clarity. In restraint there is mastery. In stillness there is strength that cannot be broken. Silence is the highest form of expression, because it speaks only when it must, and even then, it whispers truth that echoes longer than any shout. Boundaries define worth. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates that protect peace. They do not isolate. They preserve what is sacred. To live without boundaries is to hand over control of one's soul to the impulses and opinions of others. The Stoic mind understands that self-respect begins where tolerance for disrespect ends. A boundary is not made of anger, but of clarity. It is the line that says, "This is where I remain myself." Without it, one becomes a servant to the expectations of others, pleasing everyone, yet pleasing no one, including oneself. A life without boundaries is like a city without walls, vulnerable to every invading thought, every manipulative demand, every whisper of guilt or flattery. The wise do not fear losing people who cross their limits. They fear losing themselves by allowing it. Every time one allows what feels wrong, one silently teaches others how to misuse that openness. Respect is not demanded. It is defined by how firmly one guards their peace. A person who values their time, energy, and emotions naturally attracts those who value them as well. Boundaries are not about keeping others out. They are about keeping your values in. To establish limits is an act of courage. It requires saying no when the world rewards yes. It demands honesty in a culture that worships compliance. Many confuse kindness with submission, but the two are not the same. Kindness is given freely. Submission is taken by force. A boundary transforms kindness into something sustainable. It keeps giving without becoming empty. A Stoic does not build boundaries from fear but from wisdom. Fear hides. Wisdom stands firm. A wise mind knows that everything valuable requires protection. Time, focus, dignity, peace. Just as one locks their home at night, not because they hate the world, but because they value safety, so too must one guard their inner life with the same vigilance. Every relationship, whether of love, friendship, or work, tests these boundaries. People will often push to see where your limits lie, not out of cruelty, but because most are unaware of their own. If you do not define your limits, others will define them for you. The one who respects their own space teaches others how to approach it, with care, with patience, with honor. To set a boundary is not to reject others. It is to affirm oneself. It is saying, "I will not allow the world to decide my worth." Without such a line, one becomes reactive, drained by pleasing, exhausted by overgiving, and quietly resentful for allowing it. The Stoic refuses to live in that chaos. He knows peace is not granted. It is earned by discipline, by courage to protect what matters most. Boundaries also teach balance. They remind us that love without respect becomes dependence, and giving without limits becomes self-destruction. True care includes restraint. One must know when to step forward with compassion and when to step back with dignity. Not every call for help is a demand for sacrifice. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Boundaries must also exist within oneself. The mind, left unchecked, crosses its own limits. It dwells on regrets, overthinks futures, and entertains distractions that weaken focus. Internal boundaries are the highest form of self-com, and I will not indulge in what does not serve me. Every time one honors such a decision, inner strength grows. The world tests these boundaries daily, with pressure, flattery, or manipulation. Many confuse endurance with virtue, believing that tolerance is strength. But Stoicism teaches otherwise. Endurance without discernment is not strength, it is neglect. To suffer endlessly for the comfort of others is not noble, it is ignorance of self-worth. True endurance is selective, it endures hardship for growth, not exploitation. Boundaries reveal the quality of one's soul. The gentle yet firm spirit knows that saying no can be an act of greater love than saying yes. For when you protect your peace, you give others the best version of yourself, not the exhausted remainder. Those who understand this never see boundaries as cruelty. They see them as the framework that allows genuine connection to thrive. In the end, boundaries are not about distance, but about depth. They are not cold walls. They are warm thresholds guarded by self-respect. They ensure that love remains mutual, not one-sided, that giving remains conscious, not compulsive, that peace remains intact, not traded for acceptance. The soul that honors its limb, it lives freely. It does not chase approval, it does not beg to be understood. It moves with quiet confidence, knowing that anything built on compromise of dignity will eventually crumble. Boundaries are the architecture of inner strength, the invisible structure that keeps the spirit upright, even when the world pulls it in every direction. To protect one's boundaries is to proclaim, without words, "My peace is not negotiable." And in that declaration lies the highest form of power, not the power to control others, but the power to remain whole in a world that constantly tempts you to break yourself in pieces. Integrity over games. Integrity is the quiet force that holds a soul together when the world tempts it to fall apart. It is the invisible armor that needs no defense, no performance, and no applause. To live with integrity is to refuse the easy path of deceit, manipulation, and games. It is to stand firm in a world that constantly asks, "What can you gain?" and to answer instead, "What can you keep pure?" Games are the refuge of the insecure. They are masks worn by those who fear honesty, traps set by those who dread rejection. But integrity has no use for masks, because it does not need to hide. It does not fear the light. It exists because of it. Every word, every choice, every gesture reflects what is within, and integrity ensures that what is within is clean, stable, and true. The mind without integrity is divided. It says one thing and does another. It seeks control through deceit, affection through manipulation, and respect through appearance. But such tactics never last. The one who deceives must constantly maintain the illusion, forever enslaved by his own lies. Integrity, on the other hand, grants freedom. The one who walks in truth never has to remember what was said. His actions remain consistent across time and circumstance. The Stoics understood that honor is not an ornament. It is a foundation. It is not built for others to see, but for the self to stand upon. To act with integrity means doing what is right, not what is easy. It means keeping one's word, even when it costs comfort or approval. It means remaining just when no one is watching, humble when praised, and steadfast when tested. In every interaction, the temptation to play games arises, to manipulate perception, to appear wiser, kinder, or stronger than one truly is. But games are hollow victories. They bring fleeting advantage and lasting emptiness. Each dishonest act chips away at the harmony of the soul. The Stoic knows that the highest reward is not to win over others, but to win over oneself, to rise above deceit and live as one whole being. Integrity is not rigidness, it is alignment. It allows no conflict between belief and behavior, word and deed. When these align, peace follows. The one who acts without deceit walks lightly, unburdened by fear of exposure. The one who deceives, even in small things, carries the weight of concealment. Lies rot the spirit slowly. They create division between who one is and who one pretends to be. Honesty, though difficult, cleanses. It burns illusions but leaves truth intact. To speak truth is to trust that reality, however harsh, is better than comfort built on falsehood. It takes courage to be transparent in a world that rewards disguise, yet integrity thrives on that courage. It may lose temporary gains, but it earns something greater, self-respect. In relationships, integrity replaces games with clarity. It communicates directly, without hidden motives or silent manipulation. It does not pretend affection for approval, nor withdraw warmth as punishment. It loves cleanly, freely given, never forced. Such authenticity may not always win hearts immediately, but it always earns trust. Trust, once built on integrity, outlives desire. Integrity is not the denial of emotion. It is the discipline of emotion. It feels deeply yet acts justly. It does not let anger lead to cruelty or passion to deceit. It transforms emotion into purpose, not into impulse. When one's emotions and actions are governed by virtue rather than reaction, character solidifies. The world often mistakes cunning for intelligence. But intelligence without integrity is clever destruction. It manipulates without understanding, gains without honor, and wins without peace. The Stoic rejects such cleverness. Wisdom, to him, is not about appearing right, but being right about aligning action with truth, even when truth costs more than falsehood. Integrity also means owning mistakes. The one who deceives hides them. The one with integrity learns from them. To admit error is not weakness, it is growth. It says, I value truth more than pride. Such humility refines strength. A person who can correct themselves needs no external correction. They become their own teacher. Integrity endures when charm fades, when beauty withers, when power shifts. It cannot be taken, only surrendered, and those who live by it walk with quiet certainty. They need no defense, for their life itself is testimony. Games may bring quick results, but they poison trust and weaken the soul. Integrity may cost much in the moment, but it buys peace that cannot be stolen. The wise understand this trade. They know that every deceit, however small, is a fracture in one's inner structure, and every truth, however hard, strengthens it. In the end, all masks fall. Time reveals every game, every lie, every false promise. Only integrity remains standing, unchanged by exposure, untouched by time. It is the one thing that cannot be faked, because it is the reflection of the inner self. Integrity is freedom, the freedom to walk through life unashamed, to speak without fear, to love without deceit. It is the quiet triumph of the soul that chooses truth over advantage, authenticity over illusion, peace over pride. To live with integrity is to be at peace with oneself, and there is no greater victory than that. The quiet power that never fades in the end. It is not appearance, wealth, or charm that makes one unforgettable. It is presence shaped by virtue. Silence, boundaries, integrity, discipline, and principles are not ornaments of character. They are its structure. They form the invisible strength that commands respect without demand, influence without manipulation, and love without performance. True greatness does not shout. It moves quietly with purpose and conviction. It speaks through calm actions, consistent values, and unwavering self-respect. Such strength leaves an imprint deeper than emotion. It awakens reflection in others. The world may forget words and faces, but it never forgets the feeling of being in the presence of a composed soul. A person who lives by these 6 virtues, who guards silence, honors limits, stands in truth, masters desire, offers calm, and holds to principle, needs no recognition. Their existence itself becomes a silent lesson to all who meet them. They teach not by preaching, but by being, for what endures is not the noise of ambition, but the harmony of character. Fame fades, beauty changes, admiration shifts, but virtue remains untouched, timeless, unbroken. To live by Stoic virtue is to become unmovable amidst the storm, to give without losing oneself, to love without attachment, to act without pride. That is the soul the world remembers, long after words have vanished. Because character, when built on silence, strength, and truth, is the one thing that cannot be forgotten.